welcome everybody to Masinahikan, iskwêwak, the book women, and this is our last episode of season 1, the historic moment.
It is.
It's over.
It is.
Stamp that in the history books.
Yeah. And I'm here with my co-podcasters,
Tanya.
And Sheila.
So today we thought, or at least I thought we should do something a little bit different. Instead of interviewing somebody, we should get back together as a group and have some personal reflection time about the season that we just recorded.
personal reflection.
Personal reflection. I'm all about the reflection. I think it's important. But I can talk about that later. So I've concocted a bunch of questions for all of us. So I will play host today. And you will be my guests.
Yeah, the hostess.
Okay.
I feel like this could be a trap, and I really hope that it's not.
I know.
Well, you haven't seen the questions yet.
Oh,
It
yeah,
could
I
be
know
a
we
trap.
haven't. Especially because Sheila and I are just kind of hanging out on the couch, and you're in your fancy little rolly chair. It's like, are we about to go through therapy right now?
I feel like I'm back in school.
Yeah.
Like, on campus.
The therapist is in.
Yeah.
The therapist
Oh, God.
is in. Especially because we're hanging out in...
We're hanging out in Pembina Hall.
Yeah, back to my roots. Native Studies office.
Yeah. No, this isn't my roots. This is
In the basement.
my new home.
The creepy basement of Pembina Hall.
You know this? Have you ever seen the ghost in this building?
Well...
Is that the question?
Yes, it is.
I haven't
That's
seen the
question
ghost.
1. Have you seen the ghost?
No, but I always get a really bad feeling when I'm, like, down here by myself, because I used to, when I came to school here, like, I was on Native Studies Student Association, so we had that room, that really beautiful room that's now a meeting room upstairs, the one with the fireplace. Mm-hmm. So I had a key, and I'd sometimes come in, and all the lights would be off down here in the basement, and when I was working for Frank, his office was at the very end, so I'd come in on this side over by grad students, but all the lights would be off, and there'd just be the glowing exit sign, and you know when you get that really creepy feeling, like something's gonna walk out in front of me and like do something? Oh, it was the worst.
It's creepy. Yeah. So this building, I don't know if you knew this, Sheila, but this building used to be a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did know that.
Yeah. So it was I think it was a men's hospital, and so there's a ghost that haunts these hallways, and it's of a female nurse.
Oh.
So the ghost only appears to men if they're alone. Never appears to women, and the only thing that I've heard of, like, from females being in here is like noises outside of the hall. Like, you'll hear a giant table being dragged from one end to the other, and no one is there.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's spooky. I haven't seen anything, but
I just always get a feeling where I'm like, oh, that weird feeling of something being there. Like when I worked over in Research Transition Facility, RTF, which is also says nurses home, and it was the old nursing building a long time ago. I always used to think that place was haunted because I would be in there when I was writing my honors paper, and I'd be there till like 3 a.m. working on this thing, and I'd always hear something like walking around, and I'd be like calling out down the hallway, or I'd go to the bathroom and like run to the washroom because it was down the creepy hallway and like around the corner, and you're by yourself, so you get all these ideas in your head. Even though the doors were locked, I'd get really freaked out. But then I once brought it up to my supervisor, and they were like, yeah, when you hear walking down the hallway, just like take another look. And so like I guess there was a grad student that was also there until like 3 a.m. So my ghost was a grad student who was going through the perils and the pains of
same as you?
research. So
I was gonna say, like,
I think we were the ghost of research for each other.
Oh.
Just reminding you that, you know, you're still alive and a human. You might just be buried under books, but yeah.
You're not dead.
Yet.
Have you ever thought that you were the one who was haunted? The ghosts are following you, not the building? I've had that thought.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, I know everyone's always
It's a total
like,
side thought, but
Yeah.
you know, make sure that you're, you know, behaving because your ancestors are always watching you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, let's get into these questions.
Okay.
So the first question I have for all three of us are, what have we learned about podcasting?
I feel like I listen to a lot more podcasts now that I've started podcasting.
Which podcast are you listening to?
I literally was trying to work on a website that had a deadline to get done, and I just went to Spotify, looked at their top rated, saw Joe Rogan was number 1, skipped to the next one, and started listening to that. So I was like, number 1, no. Number 2, okay, we'll start. And I think it's a true crime one. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I've just started listening to like random ones. I listened to that one that Ryan McMahon did, the Thunder Bay one. Yes. And I've listened through that, and it's really good.
Yes. I listened to Coffee with My Mom, because I love that one.
I haven't listened to that one, but I listened to Thunder Bay. I've been listening to just, like, true crime.
Yeah.
Some about, like, storytelling. I listened to one about Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
Did they find him? Or her?
No.
As someone that edits a lot of our stuff, I've learned, and now when I listen to other podcasts, you know, at first I was like, oh, I gotta take out all the ums and all the likes, and now I listen to some other, like, more professional than us podcasts. I'm like, oh, well, you know, I could hear their breath, and like I could hear their ums and likes, so like just being more relaxed about my editing process is what I've learned about podcasting. I was like, oh, this doesn't have to be as arduous as I'm making it on myself. So, and then maybe I can apply that to other things too. But yeah, that's what I've learned. What have you learned?
I think I'm still in that process of editing, because it's because I have a perfectionist mentality, right? So everything needs to be absolutely perfect. So I need to take out everything that I don't think needs to be there, and that's nothing to do with podcasting, but all to do with like how psycho I am. So I have been laxing off a little bit and just slowly working my way into it. But you're right. And for the podcast that I listen to, they use like lots of likes and ums, because it's a part of, unfortunately, I don't know, it's a part of our language now, really. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
It's the millennial thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Would you say that was a millennial thing?
I don't know, maybe. Changing in vernacular, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just younger, not necessarily just millennials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I learned is that podcasting isn't that difficult.
Yeah,
it's the editing part that's a pain in the butt, but as soon as you get the hang of it, then it's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, the program that we use, like, so back in the day, I used to date some DJs anyway, whatever. And the program that we use, Audacity, has already been on my computers at various times in my life from various other people in my life working on things. And so now I'm like, okay, my turn to do my thing with this program. Yeah, you know, nice. So that's like a pretty cool thing. I'm like, I know Audacity. You can make beats with it. And now I'm like, oh yeah, I can make myself sound so smart with it. Yeah. Anyway.
It's true though. Yeah, I love Audacity. It's free. It's free to download for those who are interested in starting a podcast. It's open software, so it's easy to find YouTube tutorials on how to do it. That's how I learned how to do it.
Totally.
It's time consuming. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Just avoid that. So what have you learned about writing, editing, and publishing Indigenous stories? You don't have to list everything, but just one thing that stands out to you.
I don't know. I think the thing that I kind of learned, because I was also working on a website about publishing, like for Indigenous people about publishing, and I'm very new to the publishing industry. Like, I've never worked at a publishing house. I'm a librarian, but that's about it. Well, I mean, I'm also a human and other things, but like publishing is not really my forte. I did learn that it is very complex, and everyone kind of has their own take on it, but also that there's a lot of uniqueness within Indigenous publishing, and it does open up doors for people to share their stories, or share how great of an artist they are. And it's not necessarily just those who want to write, but those who want to paint, those who just want to talk.
Well, yeah, storytelling takes form in so many different formats. Which I think we did a decent job kind of representing different ways of telling stories. But
I hope so. Yeah.
How about you? Well, we'll hear later on.
What did I learn? I think maybe just in awe of everyone's like motivations. No one that we talked to anyway was motivated by, oh yeah, I gotta be famous or whatever, you know,
Right.
like any of those other kind of things. Also just the motivation of like, keep writing, keep doing your thing. It is hard work, but just keep going with it. And like, I hope that I take that into my own thing, and I have, like, with this podcast of like, okay, just keep doing it, you know.
Yeah.
And like, just keep going and trying to get it out there. But like, maybe because I do, and I am one of those people that does think that like the writing process is an intimidating thing. So maybe now that I've like done this project that people know more about, I think maybe I will start writing. I don't want that. Maybe I'll edit that right out, and so I don't have that on
I'm
record.
editing this episode.
Well, please edit that out. But it's a thought that's in my mind, and it's not just thoughts. Inspirational thoughts are good, and I'm gonna live until my mid-90s at least. Both my grandmas did, so I got time. To write something.
Yeah, you don't have to write now.
Yeah, no, I gotta move.
Yeah.
Don't have time to write.
I'm not a good writer. Like, I can barely speak some days, never mind write. So, like, I've tried my hand at spoken word, and it was okay. I mean, the one thing that I did. But I don't think I'm the person that's going to write a memoir about their life.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it's going to be a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would watch a movie that you directed and wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And
feel like
started.
It's the Kayla Show.
Oh my god. It's like a Truman Show where I don't actually know. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's about me.
And everyone dies. Just everyone is dying.
Except for me.
Except for you. Yeah, and you're like, what the hell? It's like a...
Oh
I
my
would watch
God.
that. I would totally watch that.
That would be the craziest thing.
Can you
Wow.
imagine if you didn't know what was happening? And everyone's just dying around you.
What have you learned, Tanya?
For me, I don't know. Really, I think the biggest takeaway that I've had with speaking to everyone is that you have to trust yourself and trust your gut and do what's best for you. And if that's, I don't know, drawing or doing painting or whatever, that's what you have to do. And you have to stand up for yourself. Don't let those publishing houses push you around, or those editors, because you know how best to represent yourself in your community.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Right?
Gotta be true to yourself.
So do you have any memorable moments or quotes that stick out to you? Kayla?
Oh, memorable moments. I think I really, really enjoyed going out of Massachusetts and seeing Josh and his family and just hanging out with them and their dogs, like all the dogs. That was really nice because it's getting out and back into the community, and I think that's one thing that I'd like to explore a little bit more with this podcast is talk about community stories. And so that was really memorable for me. And I think also with Brittany and just getting to hang out with her because it just felt so comfortable. Like sometimes, even though we know the people usually that we're recording in podcasts, there is kind of like that sense of you get a little bit uncomfortable. You don't know what to talk about. Sometimes you're just like, okay, well, where do we go from here? Yeah. But with that episode, I think we could have talked about it for like 3 hours and recorded like the longest podcast in the world.
Yeah, and it's funny because was that the first time that you met her?
I'd met her in passing, but never actually like sat down with her and chatted. Like I've met her through academia and at conferences, but never like as a real human and not an academic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I'd have to say that was my favorite episode. It was my favorite episode because it just made me feel so good. And like we're friends now, which is crazy. We hang out now.
Yeah,
we go to drag shows. It's
awesome. That's awesome. I was also gonna say that one was my favorite because the first time that I met her was when she came to my house to record a podcast. And it was funny because like the time that worked out for all of us was like around supper time, and I was like, okay, look, like I don't function without food, and I just happened to have like a bunch of leftovers of like spaghetti squash and whatever that I made, and my brother was in town because he was moving to Edmonton, so he's looking for a place, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm just going to like feed these people, I guess, and then we'll chat. And yeah, burlesque just is so fucking magical and beautiful, and like I love it so much. Just to kind of have those thoughts as like I do it now, I'm like, oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, like I just love it. I think I will always kind of have like a storytelling aspect more, like I did before, but like more so in my mind as I'm creating things and doing things. So that was really lovely. And she's a lovely person.
Yeah, I really like her.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we're all joining her burlesque group.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. Just wait for it. We already have it all planned. I feel like we got pretty much it down packed at Earl's the other day when we were just like chatting about it. Drinking and chatting about it. And I think that waiter even got into a little bit.
No.
He was so excited.
I know. I know. He was so into it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
He wanted our photo.
Who are these?
Yeah.
Famous. Absolute famous, like, ladies here.
Yeah, well, I think it was also because we were the loudest people in Earl's, and we were just like no holding back about the conversation, and like pouring maple syrup all over ourselves and spanking each other.
Slap you with a bandit on your ass.
Oh my god.
You know? Oh yeah. Weird. We stood out to him.
That's anywhere we go though.
I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
when was the point where we went out for drinks that we weren't the loudest table?
That's true.
Yeah, never.
Well, I think also this podcast, one thing though is that it very much reflects like who we are as people. Like when we get asked to do things and it's supposed to be a little bit more formal, it's like this podcast. We don't record in a tent or have like fancy sound recording stuff. Like it's very us, like
Yeah, we're just a bunch of goofballs doing something that we were asked to do.
Exactly. It's very personal, and you can hear what's going on around us. You can hear like kids, people, the environment that we're sitting in. You know,
well, yeah, it's personal.
Yeah, and it's not
like we
sterile.
interviewed my mom, and she told us all these family stories.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah,
that was really lovely.
Yeah, that was I'm glad I didn't edit that episode.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I'm glad that you edited it. I don't think I could have.
Yeah, I was happy to.
Yeah.
Not that we went into like too deep, but
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the stories that she was talking about, she didn't really give any context about it, because I did listen to the episode afterwards, but because I know the context of the story, so I don't know if you two remember that she was talking about this one guy that he fell into the sandbar, into the pool. So he's a really awful human being. He's a really bad person, and I won't go into the details, but so when we were talking about that, it's hard not to think about.
Yeah. My ex listened to that, and he was like, your second episode with Ambrose was so lovely, or he didn't say lovely, that's my words for him, but then that episode got dark with like, you know, just watching this guy drown. I was like, he deserved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Did I tell you guys in private what happened, or no?
No.
Yeah, I think you did to me at one point when we were heading up to Jasper together, maybe you talked about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you after we're done recording, because I don't want to record that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I mean, that comes with talking to family, right? Like, and people that are comfortable with you. Like, I feel when we interviewed Marilyn or Norma, like, they're not going to tell us like their most personal things, but that's your mom, so of course she's going to be like, and this happened. Like, I'm sure if we interviewed my family, my cousin Boomer would have so many stories that I would probably crawl under the table and be like, I can't believe he just told that.
Well, that's the thing, too.
edit. Like,
not all stories are happy-go-lucky.
That's
a
true.
lot of our stories are dark, very dark.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think that's reflected in my sense of humor, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a really dark sense of humor, but
yeah.
So that one, I think he was right. It was pretty dark, or it got darker.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know the context, it might be a little bit more confusing. But
Yeah.
were there any other guests that you liked hanging out with, other than all of them?
Yeah, well, of course, for memorable, Paul was our first guest that we interviewed. Was he not?
Was he actually?
I think so.
No, Ambrose was our
he?
first guest.
Oh, never mind. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm doing today. it's a day. I like seeing Paul is always great because I mean he's academic dad, so hanging out with him, and even now like kind of because of this podcast I've gotten to hang out a lot more with Paul, and we've done some traveling, and we're traveling again this weekend together.
AGM.
Yeah, Métis Nation AGM. We're gonna bunk up at Colette Poitras's house.
That's awesome.
And have a good weekend, and Marilyn will be there, and we're gonna poke the M&A for some future endeavors of the book women, so we'll be up there together. So it's nice, like building those relationships is always great. And even seeing Chris and talking to him, and he, you know, when I was coming through Native Studies, he just took the job as the dean, so just getting to hang out with people that you haven't seen in a really long time because of work and life and stuff. So yeah,
that's one thing about Chris being dean, and I've heard this a lot from students, is that he's so approachable. He's so approachable. He's the dean that swears and says beer fart all the time, you know? He says that in our podcast. I just edited
Does he
that
say
episode.
beer fart?
He
Oh.
says the slightest or whiff of a beer fart or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
funny.
Yeah, he's so funny and so personable, which is really valuable to the community here.
yeah.
Who else did we interview? Molly and Chelsea, of course.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. I found that lots of the people that we interviewed, we had a little bit of a relationship with.
Yeah.
And now it's so much stronger just because we got to sit with them and talk with them.
Yeah. That's the easiest thing to do, is talk to people that you already have a relationship with.
Yeah.
It's really hard to talk to people that you don't know who they are at all.
Yes.
Like, that's definitely a thing.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Question Master, what's
Question
next?
Master. Okay, so I'm assuming that you have listened to some of the audio recordings. Do you have any regrets of things that you have said that you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that?
I mean, like, more just, like, I have academic freedom at work, but you always don't, like, I don't want anything that I say to come back on me or the people that I work with. Usually I don't regret stuff that I say. I've said a lot of shit that's gotten me in trouble over the years, good and bad. But yeah, because I do work for a huge, like, academic institution, you always have that kind of on the back of your mind, like, what if a colleague who maybe doesn't like me listens to this and then uses that as fire for, you know, me getting fired or my contract not renewed.
Yeah.
Like, I do have academic freedom, but that's always something that you worry about in the advancement of your career, because I work on contract. My next contract only goes till July, August 2020, and then after that, either I'm job hunting or I'm getting a contract renewed. But if they listen to this and then I said something stupid, you know, I don't want that to
Affect your work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I like doing what I do. So, I mean, I do it, and I'm passionate about it. Maybe sometimes too passionate about it. But I also, because you and Sheila, like, I trust both of you, I know that if I said something very stupid, you guys would be like, whoa, rein it in. Like, I trust you guys to be like, take it down 200 notches. Like,
in any of the episodes that I've edited, I haven't noticed anything.
No. But we got you back. We got you back.
And just, like, I would tell you guys, too, like, whoa, that was not appropriate. That was not okay. You better take that out if you want to have a job or, you know, graduate. Like,
or graduate. Get my degree.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets. Like, no. But I will say, like, I just listened to the predatory publishing episode where, I was in a mood or, like, whatever, you know, just, like, thinking about publishing in that aspect. I was like, okay, yeah. And it's interesting doing this podcast as someone who doesn't work in academia anymore. Thank the Lord. What a blessing. It's interesting to get that perspective on academia as an outsider, and then to kind of be just only experiencing problems with academic publishing on the outside. It's like, whoa, just a really interesting experience for me, and I stand by my words. Academia is a scam. So
that's actually one of my favorite quotes of the entire season.
There's a few good ones.
That's what I was thinking about putting on a t-shirt.
Scam.
Academia is a scam.
I don't like metadata. That's one for the librarians out there.
Yeah.
Especially those of us who do not like metadata.
I still don't like it.
No, it's not my
Sorry,
jam.
everyone.
Can't do it.
No.
Yeah.
Regrets for me? Well, this is intense for me because I have extreme anxiety. And I'm like, should I have said that? Should I have said that? But it's out in the world now, so I just have to deal.
Yeah.
Of course, with the press.
Yeah.
Because I can't even remember what I said about the press, but I can't imagine it being very positive.
Nobody said anything yet.
No one said anything yet?
No one said anything yet
plastic.
to me, and I know my colleagues, people here, people that work for other libraries have definitely listened to this.
Mm-hmm.
We did get kind of teasingly called out on Twitter by Violet Fox. We're like, I guess I'll listen to this, even though somebody said I don't like metadata.
That was good.
That was good.
That was hilarious. Yeah, I've never met her before.
Yeah.
But on Twitter, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She teased us, so she likes us.
Yeah. But I think Marilyn said something really good. We do this, and like she writes for herself, and she puts it out there, and what's put out is what is put out, and she's not going to change it. And I think that's something too. Like, unless a community member who helped create this said change it, I don't think we would, unless we made that decision.
No. Even the things that I say, because there was some of them, like in Gabrielle's episode, you were saying, should you leave this in? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I've said it.
Yeah, I said it. I'm gonna,
I'll own
up to it.
I'll own up. The other thing that I was thinking about actually is, and it's not because I don't regret saying this, but my worry is that it get misconstrued. And this was during the Chelsea and Molly episode. You weren't there for that, Sheila, because we were talking about other different podcasts that are Indigenous podcasts, and we were talking about the differences between them, because I think our podcast and Molly and Chelsea's podcast are very different because we are Indigenous Métis women, and that's a completely different experience than someone like Rick Harp, which I don't know what his experience is. I have no idea. And I shouldn't judge that, but that's something that I was thinking about. But the reason why I pointed out those differences is because as Indigenous women, colonization affects us in so many different ways. Like you can't really compare the two. It's a much different experience, and that's something that I've been thinking about a lot. And I don't know. I guess I'll get up to that once I start editing the episode. But do you know what I mean? Do you remember when I said that?
Yeah. Well, I remember then, Chelsea and Molly kind of, made a comment back about it. But, yeah, that's your lived experience, the way that you feel.
Yeah, I'm a huge Indigenous feminist. So it's difficult for me. And like I said, colonization has affected us in a different way. Like, our expectations and who we are as women are very interconnected with the colonial experience, right?
Yeah.
But
I think Indigenous men too, though.
Yeah,
and they get shit on in different ways than we do, and sometimes it's worse. There are some issues with Indigenous men, though, that we definitely have it easier as women than they do. Yeah.
But I guess what I was trying to get at is the colonial experience tells us as women that we should be at home with the children and doing all of these other things, right? Whereas the Métis experience it's something completely different, and it's very confusing. But yeah, I think I just want to flesh that out a little bit more, at least within my own research and myself, just to figure out what that even means. But it was nothing against Rick Harp. I love his podcast. He's so fucking awesome. And yeah, that's one thing that I was thinking about for regrets. How about in terms of hearing yourself?
I hate listening to my own voice. I'm like
anything
a child.
You notice that you're like, oh crap.
Well, other than I can barely speak English and I sound like a Valley Girl teenager, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing to me because I definitely do not hear my own voice when I speak. Some people have the ability to kind of understand what they sound like, but I have no clue. However, there are some episodes where I actually can't tell which one of us is talking.
Yeah.
And even, so my partner said that too. He's been like, I don't know which one of you are talking right now. We blur together sometimes. And he's like,
we are a single entity.
Yeah.
Hive mind.
Yeah.
See, and for me, I can totally tell the differences between all of our voices.
Yeah.
Because I know my voice is a lot softer than your two voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm over the hump of hating my voice.
Yeah.
Which is nice in a way.
It's freeing.
Yeah. It's okay, I don't hate that about myself anymore. Or maybe I'm just put it aside and then I'll bottle it up so it doesn't exist, right? Yeah, so and then it'll explode.
One way to deal with your emotions.
Of course, yeah, that's how I do. Yeah, so who knows? But I am okay. I am at peace with hearing my own voice now.
Yeah.
For me, I've noticed my speech patterns is that I end all of my sentences, I raise my voice as if I'm asking questions. I don't know why I do that. You know, maybe it's a self-confidence thing. Like, why am I asking a question right now? This should be a statement.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Why do I do that?
I think a lot of people do it and just don't understand that, like, don't know that they do it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I just need more confidence in what I'm saying,
Yeah,
apparently.
you do. Yeah.
There you go. I need some of that bottling of emotions, just like
Yeah,
you,
just
Sheila.
bottle it away and then be confident.
Perfect. That's how it works.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I've kind of made a teeny tiny list of things that we could address with our podcast. Because there's a few problems, I think, with our podcast.
Okay.
Have you noticed anything? I don't know why I'm looking at you. I could
Yeah,
be
why are you
at
looking at
Sheila? What is wrong with our podcast? One thing that I'll point out as an example is all of our guests, our guest list is very Métis centric.
Oh, yeah, well,
super
yeah.
Métis centric.
That's because we're just having a Métis kitchen party.
Apparently, yeah.
No one else invited except for Josh and Norma.
Yeah, we're Métis centric. Yeah, we're Métis centric. We're Edmonton centric. We're University Orange Bubble centric, which is great. I mean, that's where my life kind of is. But yeah, hit us up with your cousins. Like,
Yeah.
we want to expand. I want to expand.
Yeah,
I do too.
I
Yeah.
do too.
Well, that's the thing. We're starting out with people that we know, and the people that we know as Métis women are Métis people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we definitely need to broaden out for sure.
But I will just add in there, when I was living in Toronto, that I worked so hard to like finally at the end of my time living there, to finally had like a Métis bubble around me. And like now I'm just like, oh yeah, no, I'm back in the homelands and I exist in a Métis bubble.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay
I like
to-
the Métis bubble.
It's okay to be around your community.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, we will expand for sure. So it's not just, you know, Métis noise.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Say Métis music. not
Métis
noise.
music, not noise.
Do-do.
Yeah.
That's what Métis music sounds like.
Yep. Do-do. Is there anything else that you would address in terms of the content or the people we interviewed?
I would have liked to spoken to more authors. Like, that was one thing, because we did have a list of individuals that we wanted to speak to, and I feel like we only actually reached out to a very
Our own,
small,
our
yeah. We were
Yeah.
thinking
The closer
very
people.
big, and we went very community instead of thinking about interviewing people from across Canada that are
Yeah.
authors that have published multiple series. We kind of stuck very locally for that, or people
Yeah.
that were accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would have liked to interview people that, you know, have
kind of-
have done
yeah.
more publishing.
I agree, but at the same time, I'm happy that we grounded ourselves in our own community for
Yeah,
our first
yeah.
season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I get
Yeah,
that.
that's actually a future question.
Yeah.
So pause that. Is there anything else, Sheila, that you would say about the podcast in terms of missed opportunities, maybe?
No, I think we're perfect.
You heard it here first. We are perfect.
Oh man.
Okay.
Edit that out.
No way! Don't mean to toot my own horn. Toot toot. Like.
Oh man.
No, I'm all
Why?
about
What did
tooting
you
our
want to
horns.
change?
Okay.
I think, the things that I put down is Métis centric and Edmonton centric. Yeah,
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
like to
okay.
expand out for sure. And yeah, send us your cousins.
Yeah.
Through mail.
Yeah.
We'll interview them that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we do phones.
That could also work. That
Skype.
could also work.
Skype is the ancient technology of our ancestors. We can do that.
The ancient
You know,
Skype.
we're not above like going out into communities, stuff like
Yeah,
that too.
exactly. We can all pile into my war pony.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I just got a new little Métis mobile, my boxy little
Nice.
Toyota BB from Japan, my
Nice.
clown car. Yeah.
Nice.
I still don't have a vehicle, so I'll hitch a ride with you too.
Yeah,
Perfect.
totally. Yeah.
Perfect.
Pick me up.
Or we could do it Alberta style and take my truck.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
pile in there.
Yep, that would work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do way more things on location.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, next. So, we were funded for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I did want to mention is that we did provide honorariums for every single person that we interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to add in as to why that's important?
Because Indigenous people should be paid for their time and their knowledge. And I think I said that in Maryland's thing, like, get your money.
Get your money out, start writing your checks. We don't do this for free.
And when we were talking about Connor just being like, because I was there when you met with him, because I've known Connor for a few years. Yeah, he had every right to say, you know, he's a professional. He's making, like, waves for himself, and we couldn't afford him. And he has every right to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was him.
You know, he did say it in a nicer way.
He said it in a nice way.
Nicer.
But some people would be totally, like, offended by that and be like, what do you mean I can't afford, like, that kind of thing? Like,
I don't think I wasn't offended.
People get weird. But if anything, like, I mean, this podcast came out of it.
Yeah.
So,
it was meant to happen this way.
And I mean, people need to get paid for their time. It's an hour plus that we took out of people's days where they could have been doing other things. They were pulled away from their jobs, their family. And, you know, being pulled away from your family, you should get paid for that too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You know.
Is this my soapbox moment?
Yeah, sure.
Step
Hop on it.
Okay. Cracks knuckles. Saunters up to the mic. Okay. Listen. This is what I think about honorariums. We live in a capitalist society, and therefore money is an exchange of your energy. Also, it is an exchange of your expertise. And when you say, sorry, we want your expertise and your time, but we don't have any money for you, you're expecting something for free. And that is bullshit. I have been guilted into not dropping out of very prestigious things when they didn't have money for me, and I have asked for, and I thought that I was going to get money, and then it turns out I didn't get any money. So that was I'm looking at you, Access Conference. I am calling you out. I didn't get paid for the keynote presentation that I did in Hamilton.
You are brave, Sheila. Do you want us to edit that out?
Nope, I don't.
Okay, continue your soapbox
I have been
moment.
very good on Twitter. I have not said anything as, like, the promotion for the conference is coming up, that Edmonton is the next
It is.
host for that conference. And so I think if anyone on previous organizing committees or current listen to this, you should remember, like, yes, you paid for my flight, and yes, you paid for my hotel, but I missed 3 days of work, and, like, so much time went into preparing that. Like, so much time.
That's one thing that academic librarians kind of take for granted, is that if you're an academic librarian, you get paid to go there.
Yes.
And it's still a regular day of work, but that's not true for everybody. And that's so limiting.
Exactly. And it's like, well, when I get home at 4:30, and to expect me then, as someone who doesn't work in academia, for good reason, because I did it and it burnt me out, to expect someone else to just, like, now continue working after maybe I eat and maybe clean up after myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and do things that, like, sustain my life, and then try to get a little bit more money. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, it is what it is, and, like, I'm grateful that I was able to learn, like, a very valuable lesson. I don't start work now as someone who is picking up more freelance work. You can find me on the internet, and you can hire me to do things.
We'll plug your website on the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, anyway, I'm all over the internet. You can find me. But, like, you know, as someone who now who's doing more freelance, it's like, no, I don't start until we have a contract.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't, like, oh, you want me? That's great. Book me properly. Like, and don't say, like, would you like to? And leave it at that, and say, and, like, no mention of money. Because my next question is, do you have money?
And don't say, well, you're going to get so much exposure and experience. That's total bullshit. No,
Yeah.
people need to be paid for their time.
Yeah.
no matter how experienced or unexperienced they are.
Yeah.
Or wear and tear on my vehicle, just saying. Anyway.
That, and like, I know one of the things here is that as like an academic librarian, I can only accept honorariums like up to a certain amount of money and gifts and stuff like that. But I think it's very different because I can get paid, like my full travel paid. Yeah, it's work time for me, so I get paid to do it. The only time that I don't necessarily get paid is if I have to take it home with me or do things on the weekend, which I try not to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you deserve to be paid.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, since we're all on our soapboxes, I will add this too as an Indigenous woman and Indigenous mother. If you are paying for somebody to fly out to the other side of the country, you should be paying for the family to join too, because academia has done so much to separate us from our community, from our families, and that's just another piece. Like, I can't spend a week away from my family. I just can't.
Yeah.
So you either have to ship them out or I don't go.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you have kids. Like, I could see that being. Whereas, like, I mean, I love my husband. Love you, Eric, if you listen to this. But, I mean, my man-child at home can deal for a week by himself. He eats a lot of takeout.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I don't mind having a hotel room all to myself where I can just, like, order room service and pig out on the couch. Yeah, I could see. And I think that's come up with other academics that have kids that we've talked to where they want their families to be there. And I know when we were at ALC in Jasper and Paul was getting that award, his whole family was there, and it was nice to see families being there.
Yeah.
And it's great when conferences have like child services, so
They
people
do,
yeah.
The conference that I'm going to in Banff actually has childcare services, so you can drop your kids off and do your thing. So I'm bringing my whole family out to that conference in Banff, and it's going to be amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, props to, I forget the conference, PPSA.
Yeah,
I'll
but
link
there's
it.
some conferences that are just so, like, you can't even use the washroom in the building without a card, like a pass.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Which becomes super problematic. Like, I do, like, sometimes, especially when I go on really long trips or, you know, I can turn it into a vacation. Like, I like it when Eric comes with me. But if it's going to be so restricted that he can't even use the bathroom or sneak in to watch me present because he doesn't ever really get to see what I do for work because
You mean he doesn't want to pay the $500 registration fee to see one presentation?
Oh my god, yeah, IFLA, looking at you for that one. But like, yeah, that's just one of those things. We have families, and our families are a lot of the times the reason that we do what we do, and they support us through pretty much everything that we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So they should be there to celebrate in the moment.
in terms of funding,
Yeah.
I've made a personal commitment to myself not to accept any speaking engagements unless I'm getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just it's my thing now. You've heard it here. Book us. We're
Yeah.
willing to present, but
Yeah, if it's for book women, then I want to be paid. If it's something that's work related, like if it's a library conference where I'm actually representing like my work within University of Alberta libraries, then that's different. Like that's work. I don't get paid for it because I can't accept gifts. But if it's like for this podcast, this is time that I take out of my own like personal time. Pay me.
yeah, I'm a
I
student.
got bills.
I'm a student. I
got
gotta pay off
bills.
those student loans.
Yo.
I like clothes, you know.
Yeah, I like clothes.
I'm like, my time is so expensive and I'm so fabulous, so I deserve all the money in the world.
Because we're perfect.
I deserve everything.
We're just so bougie.
Yeah, like you
Yeah,
think this bougie
Métis.
native
Yeah.
can afford my lifestyle without your money? Just kidding. just so kidding. But
Okay, so that's something I think we'll if and when we do a second season, we'll always have honorariums for our guests. I think that's really important.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think like if I was, y'all don't have to accept it, but if it was like a thing that somebody that maybe had reciprocated in another way for us through this podcast or something, asked us to do something and they didn't have funds, I might do it. Like it's not, sometimes it's
absolutely.
a reciprocity and it doesn't always mean funds, but you better step up and do something for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is the one exception.
Yeah.
Is reciprocity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, an exchange of energy and like an exchange of like your efforts and times and like your spirit that goes into things that you do.
Exactly.
Okay, I should
Go for it.
I should eat before I say anything saltier. I have nothing else to say.
Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about this. We are hopefully. Are you sure?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay. Is the last question about season 2?
Yes.
Okay, we can make it through this, and then
Yeah, we can.
we'll
we
go
can, we
eat.
can.
Because
Yeah.
season 2 sounds fucking rad at this point.
Do we want to? I don't think I want to do spoilers yet.
No spoilers, but it's gonna be awesome. But I also, one thing that I'd like to do, because what we have planned for season 2 or might be in the works sounds like it's gonna be a while till it happens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe for our listeners, just listen for if we do an event. Or maybe we'll do every once in a while a little podcast, a little teaser up to season 2, just so that we don't lose you in like 9 months or so.
Or maybe that could be season 3.
That could be season 3.
You know?
Yeah, depending on how
Depending on funding.
life and shit.
Yeah, life and shit. Yeah.
Funding, that kind of stuff.
So if we think about our super awesome idea for season 3.
Oh my god. Or
let's
potential
go
season
back
2.
to. Okay, if
We could have like
outside of that idea,
we could have like a Christmas special. Book
my
Women
God.
Christmas special.
Absolutely.
Book Women from Litfest, because that is something that's happening.
that is something.
So
yeah.
we could do a podcast about Litfest.
Yeah.
I mean,
What are some themes that you'd want to tackle in the second season?
Oh man.
I really want to go like, I'd like to talk about knowledge rights. Like, I think we kind of did
Data
that.
sovereignty.
Yeah, not necessarily data sovereignty,
Yeah.
but like, you know, just the concept of communities owning their stories and some of like intellectual property rights, that kind of stuff. I know that's very like legalese and whatever, but I think it's important, especially if you are somebody that's publishing like community stories, like to understand like, yeah, you might know these stories or be part of that community, but there has to be like other community involvement, and that communities have the legal right to, you know, own their stories and protect them in ways that they want to. So I think that's important. Going out to communities. I like visiting.
I want to tackle graphic novels.
Yeah,
graphic novels and digital
man.
storytelling, because I think technology is so beneficial, and I think we could flesh that out a lot more. There's so many great apps out there and video games. Why not?
Yeah, totally. I think we could also touch more on issues of cultural appropriation.
Yes. I think we should always do an episode on cultural appropriation, because that's a theme that keeps coming.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and I think that combines what you both just said, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, and it's always the thing that's looming, it seems like. Anyway.
Well, that's maybe that's a future episode, is we could interview a non-Indigenous person that's writing Indigenous stories. How do you feel about that?
Well,
Because we
you
like
can't
to
see Kayla's face.
That's a no-go. That's a no-go.
No, it might be a really interesting episode.
I think
You
it
know,
would be
let's all make
saucy.
sure we eat before that one. Like,
Well,
I mean,
that's-
maybe
yeah.
that one should be recorded live. Like,
That one will have video.
that one will have video or
So you
photos.
can see Kayla's face.
Yeah.
Like, look at this person, what
Yeah.
they're doing. I don't have anyone in mind. When
No,
I don't
either.
I don't either.
I mean, I do know of one person, but I mean, you might lose out on a job contract over that one.
Oh, yeah. No, not that one.
Yeah.
I
Hey,
still wanna get
maybe,
paid.
you know, we could go to Calgary Expo and do, like, live on location. That's in,
that'd
like,
be sweet.
April.
Mm-hmm.
Or Edmonton, even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another idea.
I mean,
for
maybe not
sure.
live on location, but we could have Snapchats. What am I doing?
You do need to eat.
Yeah, this is, like, my day slowly, like, degrading.
Yeah.
We could have, like, you know, photos of us doing stuff, whatever you do at cons, and then talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. That's probably trademark. Take that out.
Ah.
Let's talk about it. Let's dive
Good
deep.
Mythical Morning is gonna be like, that's ours.
Sorry.
Copyright.
Sorry, friends.
Yeah.
How about future guests? Who do you want to interview?
I want to interview people that do spoken word.
I want to
And
interview
actually
Joshua
do
Whitehead.
it
He's
and
the top
do
of my list.
spoken word.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
I loved it when like Norma was talking about throat singing and trying to publish throat singing, but she was actually doing it. I got so excited. I was like,
Yeah, that was really cool.
yeah.
I met a couple people when I was back home with the Mamali project in July. Sky, she wrote a children's book, and she lives on Fishing Lake, Métis settlement.
Yes.
So we can take a road trip out there. And also Angie, who wrote a book, like a children's book about the Round Prairie Métis experience out in Saskatchewan. So I think those two folks would be really cool. Mm-hmm. I know it's kind of Métis centric, but like it's a little bit outside our bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to interview more queer authors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Always.
Yeah.
Cool.
Any other things that you want to talk about for a second season?
I don't think so.
Nah,
Everyone
good.
will just have to wait.
Yeah.
Wait to see what the...
Wait for the mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
To expose itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Perfect. Then I guess this will be the end of our first season. This is so sad.
Oh, it's
this
sad.
is a see you later.
It's
not
a see you
Yeah,
later.
it's not a goodbye forever.
We're not
It's
gonna
like
die.
X and Maga. See you later.
Yeah.
We're out.
Aunties out.
Also, our new thing. I mean, you can tell us if you hate it on Twitter or however you want to let us know. But we've decided our new closer is Métis Aunties out. So let us know what you think. And hi. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming on this ride with us. It took about a year, but we got through it.
Proud moment.
Yeah, proud moments.
Proud moments. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to say the closer?
Métis Aunties out.